I saw Fantastic Four First Steps, and I did enjoy it. I expected to because I can pretty much find something to enjoy in any movie that I see. That being said, I've never seen a more dishonest set of reviews than what I've seen on YouTube. Holy crap. Most of the popular channels are just flat out lying. Seriously, if you've seen the movie and you've seen the reviews, you probably know what I'm talking about. The main beef I have with all the reviewers is that they keep repeatedly saying it's not a girl boss movie, but it is. Stay tuned and I'll prove it. So similar to Superman, this movie skipped the origin story. In Superman, they did it with on-screen text, which I thought was pretty cool. In this one, they did it with a sort of archival news feed. It caught us up to date because, as I said in my last video, we don't need to see any more origin stories. So I thought this was a pretty cool way to avoid that. So right after they catch us up to date with the Fantastic Four, we find out Sue Storm is pregnant, and it immediately feels like the entire movie is going to revolve around some type of mama bear trope. I rolled my eyes, but after watching a lot of the online reviews, I guess I was alone in that. In my head, I thought the whole movie was going to revolve around Sue protecting that baby, and it turned out to be exactly that. Anyway, after we find out she's pregnant, there's a montage of battles, and it covers most of the iconic Fantastic Four battles from the early era of the comic run. Then it skips ahead a bit, and Shalla Bal comes down and tells the Fantastic Four that their planet is about to be destroyed, or whatever. They respond by flying into space to meet Galactus, and honestly, I don't remember what the point of that was. Maybe to introduce themselves, or I don't know. And while they're there, Galactus says that he'll spare the planet if they give up their baby. So basically, a cosmic being said, I will spare 8 billion people if you give me just one. And for some inexplicable reason, they refused. And on the trip home, Sue gives birth. The rest of this movie is some convoluted plot involving eggs and pillars and black holes, and as bad as I just made it sound, honestly, I enjoyed it. It was very much like a comic book. But as much as I did enjoy the movie, I did have a few issues with it. Number one, in spite of what you may have heard, Reed was a wuss. Number two, anyone who says this wasn't a girl boss movie is absolutely delusional or a liar being paid for his opinion. Number three, who was that random black woman they kept showing on screen for absolutely no reason whatsoever? Let's get into it. The casting. I think we should start with the obvious, the black woman I just mentioned. She appeared to be there strictly for reaction shots. It was like, hey, Shalla Bal said the earth is gonna end.
Damn!
Or, hey, the Fantastic Four is on the job.
Shit!
Or, hey, that teleportation nonsense didn't work.
That is whack!
You get the point. And then what was even more startling was at the end when they were doing the character montage thing, you know, where they show the characters and next to the character is the actor's name. Well, they showed her there prominently, as if she did anything at all in the movie. So after the movie was over, obviously I had to Google because I was dying to know who she was. It turns out she was a character named Lynn Nichols.
Damn!
She was a newly created character in the MCU.
Shit!
Who serves as the Chief of Staff CEO of the Future Foundation.
That is whack!
Why? Because the movie needed a strong black female CEO. The thing is, the character feels like a modern insert into a retro world, and it totally breaks the immersion. The 1960s aesthetic was stylized and deliberate throughout the movie. From the costumes, to the tech, to the dialogue, to the architecture, everything. It was perfect. But periodically throughout the film, Lynn Nichols shows up, and it feels like a modern insert. It just takes you right out of the movie. I guess when they were making the movie, they probably thought that, you know, we need more women in authority roles, or we need a visible black representation, or we want to appeal to a broader demographic, but instead of crafting a meaningful role that belonged in that world, they just slapped her into reaction shots.
That is whack!
Again, it was just confusing. I'm assuming that a lot of her parts ended up on the cutting room floor because there's no way she was just there to react to things. Or maybe she was, who knows? Then there was Reed. Forget about all the controversy surrounding Pedro Pascal being in absolutely everything. Let's just judge him on the merit of this performance. I think he was completely miscast, and whoever wrote his dialogue or overall character arc really doesn't understand the source material. Reed Richards is cold, calculated, and brilliant. The dude never doubts himself for 1 second. In this movie, we got a Reed Richards that was constantly worried and peeing his pants over every little thing. Why did they do this? Simple. Because in order to make a strong female character, she has to play off of the weak male character. And again, no matter how many times I hear people say this was not a girl boss movie, it was. I'll break that down in a bit, so stay with me. Then there was Johnny. Johnny was okay. I thought they were going to make him gay, like I said in this video. And for a brief moment, I thought they were actually going to go through with it. There was a scene where Invisible Woman was talking to the camera and she says something like, "Ladies, he's available," and Johnny looks at the camera uncomfortably.
Flame on!
I thought that was setting up him coming out of the closet later, but they resisted that urge. That may have been the intention originally, but I guess we'll never know. Overall, I thought it was okay. He didn't feel like Johnny Storm from the comics, but I didn't hate him as much as I hated Reed, so there's that. Then there's Ben. The Thing was pretty awesome. I hear a bunch of people complaining that his voice wasn't gravelly or whatever, but that didn't bother me at all. In fact, I thought it was probably the best thing to appear in cinema ever. Which brings us to Sue. I keep seeing people saying this was not a girl boss movie, and I could not disagree more. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know that my wife is a literal girl boss. If you're new here, my wife is a literal girl boss. She's been with the same company for a very long time, and she has hundreds of people that answer directly to her. By contrast, I'm currently in college, sitting around the house making YouTube videos that nobody's watching. I have no issue with strong women, so it's not like I'm looking at this movie through some misogynistic lens. This isn't about that. It's about the fact that Sue Storm carried the team, carried the movie, and saved the day. I don't want to spend too much time on this, so I'll bullet point all the reasons Sue was a girl boss. I can't remember the order of events, but I'll do my best to put them in order. First, when Shalla Bal first comes down to Earth, she talks to Sue. The other dudes may as well have not even been there. She was talking to Sue to give the impression that Sue was the boss, and since she's a girl, think that makes her a girl boss. Then, in the first battle with the Fantastic Four, the dudes were all ragdolled. It was like that scene from Doctor Strange 2 where Wanda quickly and very easily defeated all the male characters and then had a showdown with Captain Sharon Carter, or whatever her name is. The visuals, the pacing, everything reminded me of that. It was like, get out of the way, boys. The adults are talking or fighting or whatever. Then there was a scene where everybody's surrounding the building, protesting, and Sue goes outside and she gives this speech to the crowd that immediately turned them from being against the Fantastic Four to uniting with them, like a girl boss. And being pregnant didn't stop her, holding a baby didn't stop her, nothing could stop her or even slow her down. Whether she was carrying the baby internally or externally, she was not going to stand down because girl boss. So with all that in mind, how the fuck did the critical dipshit watch this movie and decide that it wasn't a girl boss movie? What the fuck? Then there was Shalla Bal.
Well, she was in the comics.
The gender swap was completely unnecessary. Shalla Bal was the star of the worst scene in the film. Johnny Storm's about to sacrifice himself. I literally teared up. This dude was going to sacrifice himself for his family, for his nephew, for the people of the world. And that moment got ruined when Shalla Bal Rose Tico'd his ass. Why? Because this was a girl power movie. Sue Storm and Shalla Bal united against the patriarchy. In this case, Galactus was the patriarchy, because men were not allowed to do one meaningful thing in this movie. They were here to sulk, to get emotional, to get thrown around, all to contrast the strong women in the movie. So that's what they did. And yeah, in the biggest girl boss move of all, at the final battle, once again, all the male characters are ragdolled by Galactus. The only one that stood a chance, the only one that stood up to him, the only one that defeated him, the only one that could, was the girl boss, Invisible Woman, Sue Storm. Anyway, all of that being said, I enjoyed the movie in spite of the girl boss stuff. Like I said, the girl boss stuff doesn't bother me. I just think it's dishonest to out and out claim that it wasn't there when clearly it was. I was also disappointed that the after credit scene from Thunderbolts didn't tie in somehow. I was hoping the mystery would be solved here, but I suppose they're saving it for one later. Anyway, Fantastic Four First Steps was pretty entertaining. It had enough cosmic weirdness, comic book chaos, and visual style to keep me entertained, even if the character dynamics were clearly skewed towards modern messaging. I don't mind women saving the day. Like I said, I live with a girl boss, but let's not pretend the movie wasn't engineered around that exact premise. When critics bend over backwards to deny what's right there on the screen, it doesn't just insult the audience, it makes the entire conversation dishonest. You can enjoy a movie and still call out its agenda. You can like a character and still question the writing. And you can love comic books without blindly accepting every adaptation. That's where I land with First Steps. It's not perfect, it's not subtle, but it's fun enough to keep me in my seat, girl boss and all. I liked it, and I will see it again. Also, I'd like to hear your thoughts on Lynn Nichols. What did you think? Did she serve a purpose? Was she shoehorned in? Let me know. Anyway, that's it. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know all the reasons I'm an idiot in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, click notifications, and I will see you next time.